And although people don't know about you in this very moment, the world would know soon. That's how you have to look at it. That's how I look at it on certain things. Like, it's cool, okay, but just keep going. Eventually, it's gonna happen.
That's all.
You just have to keep going, and it has to be within to know, like, in a humble way.
Well, for the ones that are new to this podcast, to reiterate, like we do from time to time, the BHG podcast, and actually, I met these guys at the gym. Really cool guys. They run their own Bible study, and they asked what I did, and I told them that I ran a lifestyle brand, and a podcast since 2018. So this is a BHD podcast: blessed, humble, determined. 3 values that not only me anymore, but what I was raised on, what I believe in, is to be a good man, a good person. But now Julian, he's sitting here only because of the fact that he lives out those values as well. So we're just a couple of guys that come and sit here and talk, once a week, and just go over things for guys to pick up on, or things for guys to learn, and areas in our lives that we struggled with that we think that guys can be better in. So we're all about helping men become better men, and just growing in our own ways, bro. So again, thankful to have you to sit here next to me. And for today's episode, I really wanted to dial in on a few questions, bro. I know we haven't done one of these in a few weeks, but I got 5 questions that I want to talk about today, and we'll do it the same way that we usually do it. I'll ask you the question, you answer, and then I'll answer. And if there's a conversation that arises from it, we'll get into it. For the first question, have you ever felt guilty for outgrowing people you genuinely care about?
Good question. I actually was thinking about this recently.
Okay.
Nah, I don't, because it's just part of growth. And I heard somebody say, I forget who it was, but the comment was either people grow with you or, what is it? Either they grow with you or they grow basically like opposed to you, so they don't grow at all. And it's like, I don't feel bad about that at all. You can't, because it's just like, if you're growing and developing and somebody else isn't, the thought of it or trying to retract to be around them will hinder you. And it's part of it. If somebody's asking to grow, there are certain things that come with that. And certain things that are people that you grew up with or love or care about, or family members. You might have to distance yourself from them, or it just might not be in your life. And that's just part of it. It's the sacrifice of greatness. And so I don't feel bad about that at all. I genuinely don't, because if you want to do great things in this world, the reality is most people aren't. If you're trying to be like one of the, let's just say 1% of somebody to do something great, most people aren't fine with that. Like, even though we might not think it's like that big of a deal, leaving your hometown and going to live somewhere else is a big deal, man.
Yeah.
Because most people aren't doing that. Most people live in fear. Most people stay where they are. And I mentioned it before. I was reading an article. Most people die in a 50-mile radius of the hospital where they're born. So think about that. But there's so much world out here. So it's like, nah, bro, I don't feel bad about it at all. And I would encourage anybody to not feel bad about that, because it's part of greatness. And it's part of, if you have aspirations or a desire or just a real will to want and to have things and just to grow, it's part of the game.
Yeah, I think I would agree 100% with you, bro. I think the scariest thing when it comes to outgrowing people, because of the fact of success or goals are, misaligned, or even crazy dreams, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the term or the saying often is called, if it's not crazy enough or out of reach enough, you're not trying. It's not big enough. If you're not, and like we talked about earlier, if you're not getting judged for what you're doing, you're not doing something that's impactful. And I think that's hard for people to grasp and understand. And I'll always reference this from time and time again, is the book about people pleasing and how being nice is an epidemic in this world, bro. Like, too many of us confuse being nice with being kind and respectful and, honest gestures. And to get to the point of, having friends that in this case you outgrow, or having people that you outgrow, I think the easiest example is, like you said, leaving your hometown. Because, man, when I left, I thought I had people on my corner, and I thought I was in people's corner for the right reasons, when at that time it was. But once you leave, you really identify what you want to do, and you get very directional on the areas in life that you want to go, and you can't bring everyone.
That's very true.
And I think the first stage of that is accepting that you have to be alone for it. Because if you can't figure out alone, you're never going to do it. Because what happens when you don't have people there for you to help out, or you don't have the resources to kind of build what it is that you're trying to build, or a legacy that you're trying to have? These people aren't doing it and being successful because they have people. They're doing it because they started it on their own. Mm-hmm. And that's what comes with it. And I think the beauty behind all of that is once you can get to the place of growing something and building something that only benefits someone else, and it starts with you first, and you're doing it behind closed doors, whether you're working on your music 11 o'clock at night, or you're waking up early and you're doing it by yourself, you're journaling, and me, same thing, editing my podcast by myself, working on it for 4 or 5 years straight to get to the point to where you can sit here now and do this with me. It wouldn't be as strong, because then I would be relying on, if Julian can't make it, then I just can't do it. No, it's not that, because I've been doing this, you've been doing your music without any type of influence. And I think once you do that, the people that should be there or that want to be there will, one, be attracted more to it and say, hey, bro, how else can I help? Or they'll be like, ooh, now I'm seeing what he has a potential of doing, and that makes me uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah. The phrase that it dawned on me while you were speaking, but everything you said was on point, is if they don't grow with you, you grow apart. Mm-hmm. And that's just the reality. If somebody doesn't grow with you, you grow apart. Yep. It doesn't mean it's anything wrong,
right?
But that's just the reality. But also, in everything that you were saying, how could one do all of that and go out? And one of my favorite books called The Alchemist. It's called and anybody that's read this book, they're going to understand what I'm saying. And I hope anybody can be receptive to what I'm saying as well in this sense. But the book it speaks a lot about your personal journey. And what that is going out basically on that ledge and seeking and finding it for yourself. And nobody can do that but you individually. We only have it within us to find that for ourselves. So when you do see, if we're saying a man that's going out on his personal journey and he's doing things by himself and he's figuring it out and he's traveling and he's podcasting and he's editing and he's staying up late at night and he's trying to figure things out and he's reaching out to people and he's grinding and doing all these things by himself, if we really, really dissect it, how is he supposed to then come in contact with people that are complacent, that are lazy, that aren't taking risks, that aren't going and searching and seeking the world just to become a better version of themselves, that aren't exploring? How do you come in contact with? It doesn't matter how long you've known them. Yeah. How do you then come back in contact with them and mesh, even if there is love involved? Because the reality is you've been seeking and growing and developing. And so when you do come in contact with people that haven't left their hometown, that are complacent, that don't go and explore, that don't read, that aren't searching and are trying to be the best version of themselves, naturally, it'll just be like, I can't be. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't mesh. It's not going to work. Or you'll get irritated. Or you also will feel like, well, I can't express to you what I've been doing because I just did this. And you're telling me about all the things you're going through. And we're all going through things in life. But it's like, I'm going out on my personal journey and seeking and searching and exploring and aiming to be the best version of myself. And if I were to express what I'm doing, you might take it like I'm bragging. Yeah. So now we're just by default, again, if we don't grow naturally with each other, we grow apart. And that's just the reality. There are a lot of people that I love and care about, and there's no problems, but it's just I've grown. And it's just by going and that personal legend of just searching, exploring, and wanting more for myself. And it's not to knock, but you can see people and it's just like, you're complacent. Yeah. Or you're doing the same thing we were doing when we were in high school, or you're still in our hometown or our home city. It's all love, but it doesn't mesh anymore. That's just the reality. But one has to be okay with that. You can't try to intertwine it or blend it, or that's part of life. And if anybody wants greatness, you have to be okay with it. And that's why, to answer your initial question, I don't feel anything from it. And anything, it's an identifier that, you're on the right track. You're at where you're supposed to be. Yeah, it's really an indicator when you have that happen. If you're really growing and seeking and searching, and you feel that pull, that internal, not even that pull, but you feel that internal thing, it's an indicator of you're growing and they're not. And that's part of it. That's part of greatness. That's part of just life. If you want to be great and you want to obtain, you have to be okay with that. But on your journey, you'll come in contact with other people that are on their personal journey, and that are searching and that are explorers and that want better for themselves. And then you create bonds with them, and then you all grow. That's just part of it. One has to be okay with that.
Yeah, I think both parties are in the situations that they should be in. You know what I'm saying? And I think we always talk about nothing in life is personal, especially when it comes to moments like these, right? Like we got to assume that the people that have left or that have distance or that have, gone their own ways is because that's exactly what they wanted to be doing, which I think the funny thing about this is verbally we can say things that we want, but our actions are what says and confirms it.
Absolutely.
The lifestyle says and confirms it. And I think there's nothing that you can take away from 100% consistency when it comes to what your actions are showing. You can throw things on social media, you can talk about something, you can curate it, but only you know what's being done. And I think that's why that question is posed, is because a lot of times the people that feel the type of way where it's like, oh, well, you started acting different or you started moving funny. Sometimes it's not really that. It's the lifestyle changed. What was going on time after time after time grew, and it got tiring and it got burnt out. And I think those moments are beautiful moments. And for the other people that are dealing with that, it's more of a, well, I don't like the way you're moving and it made me feel a type of way. So whether it was you who distanced or whether it was, in this case, the person who was doing the distancing, it was all out of love, because that's the only way that it could have happened. That's the only way of evolution that it could have gone, is to make sure that both sides were getting exactly what it is that they were wanting based off the actions.
I agree, man. I agree.
Question 2, let's see. Why do some friendships get uncomfortable when one person starts growing?
This like a Venn diagram, I think, intertwines with what we were speaking about. It's because they're not growing. It's just that simple.
Or it's a different direction.
There's a different direction.
Correct.
Or they're seeing the whatever stage of greatness that person has within them, and it's becoming a mirror to who they are. And they're seeing like, oh, that person is really great. Or they're seeing the infancy of greatness. I mean, think about that. Like I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was like, think about if you're in the studio with an artist and you're hearing what we know to be a worldwide hit, but you're one of the first people to ever hear it. Think about that feeling. That's not a feeling that most people ever, like, think about like whoever was in the studio when Kendrick dropped Not Like Us. You know what I mean? Or like, and I'm just using that as an example.
No, for sure.
Like,
that's a good example.
Or just any artist you could think of that has a big song and their boys or whomever, or that one person that's in the studio with them, and they're like, oh, this is about to be a worldwide hit, and I'm the first person to hear this. We're just hearing it as consumers because we're just out here in the masses. But think about that person that's in the studio that's hearing it, that's like, now think about that situation in regards to somebody that's great and somebody that's around them, and they can see certain things, and they're like, yo, you're a star for real. You're a star, and I know you in this point of life, but you're about to be worldwide soon. And if they don't have that within, or if they don't want to be part of it, or if they don't have something in them that can be aligned with that, maybe in a different direction, but also with that, or they can add to it, and internally they don't have that within, they'll look at it and be like, and feel a way about it.
Yeah.
So it's part of greatness, man. It's just a part of greatness. And I think when you know you have greatness within you, you just have to realize there are things that come with that. You're gonna lose people, and they're gonna be people that are jealous and people that hate, but you have to embrace it. Because if you're moving correctly and you're moving with purpose, it's part of it. Everybody that's great has dealt with it.
Yeah.
It's part of it. But you'll also come in contact with other people who are great, that are on their journey, and then you'll link and be like, oh yeah, we're on the same type of time. That's just part of it.
Yeah, I think that situation is so funny to look at too, because if you have the understanding, right, and the visibility and awareness for yourself when it comes to those people that start distancing, or in this case, grow apart in those moments, you can easily say to yourself, like, they noticed something that was triggering. They saw the fame or greatness, or acknowledged to themselves like, wow, this dude's gonna be something, and that's what I wanted. Or maybe it's like, that's not what I align with, because that's something that is a lot bigger, that they can see the bigger picture before you can. Like, you can dream about it, you can write it down, you can, just ideate on certain areas. But I feel like the perspective that's coming from the friend side is at a different angle, to where they see all of it laid out, whether it's someone approaching you, whether it's you in the studio, whether it's a clip of you talking about something or a song that comes out. They know right away, because they can envision what that looks like. And that's scary for some people, bro. Or on the flip side, it's threatening because they want to do the exact same thing. They just never got around to, in this case, having the courage to start it.
Absolutely. And I think it can also be reversed in a sense of sometimes on your path, you can see people and it's like, yeah, you're trying to compete with me, or you're hating, or anytime I do it, and I was talking to somebody about this, and it coined the phrase because it's a song, but it's like Mr. Me Too. Every time I say I'm doing something, oh, now you too.
Yeah.
Or every time I mention something, you too. So it's like when you feel those vibes, sometimes it takes that person to be like, yeah, I'm gonna just have to remove myself because there's no way to maneuver in a space like that unless one wants to just peacock and boss up on that person, and that's not the route. That's not the route. So when you're great and you have greatness within you, and people can see that, but you see like, oh, you're trying to compete with me, or you're trying to like, every time I say something, Mr. Me Too. Now you have the same experience. There's no way to really combat that unless you, again, want to peacock and boss up and really be like, no, this is really how it is. But that's not the route. So the real way is to just peep it, notice it, and be like, yeah, let me maneuver. Because if you're competing, and again, we've spoken about this plenty of times, if you're competing with your boy or your brother, you're hating. There's no way or ever you should be competing with your brother, ever. Now, you should be inspired and you should collaborate, but competition has undertones. Even let's say we were playing a basketball game, we're playing a baseball game, and we're literally on two different teams. We're supposed to compete with each other, but we're competing with each other to get the best out of each other. We're not competing with each other in the sense of like pushing each other or like, no, it's all within. We're gonna play hard. We're gonna go at each other. There might be some smack talk, but it's in the realm of, no, I want to push my brother to be the best version of himself so that I could be my best version so that we can compete, because that's what you do for the love of the sport. You want to get the best version of your opponent, but you're not competing on some, I'm better than you or I'm better than you. It's like, that's not because that's the undertone. If you're competing a certain way, it's like, well, what do you really feel about me then?
Right. And it's short-lived.
It's short-lived. Or you start seeing things to where you're like, oh, is that how you really feel? So that's why I say, once, and again, just to retract back to what we're talking about, if somebody that's in that great position sees that, sometimes it's that person that has to remove themselves because they see like, oh yeah, I see you're trying to compete with me. Nah, I can't have that.
That's a good call. All right, question 3. Have you ever hidden your ambition to make other people comfortable? So basically, have you ever played small, downplayed your goals, or avoided sharing your wins?
Never, but what I will say is there have been a plethora of times I just don't say anything. I think that's the best thing to do. Biblically, it says the Bible says don't cast your pearls among swine. And just in life, you're not supposed to sometimes you're just supposed to keep things to the chest. With aspirations, with goals, with desires, or if you do, you share with somebody who's also, again, on their personal legend, their personal journey, and then you all can bounce ideas off each other, things like that. But sometimes I think it's just best, you got to keep it to yourself. And I don't think that's necessarily withholding or being afraid. Sometimes people do it in that sense because they feel like, oh, this person might knock it, or I might be embarrassed. And I have empathy for that. But I think a lot of times it's best just not to say anything because, for one, you don't want to put something out before the maturation happens. And then 2, you don't want people to shoot down what you have going on. There are a multitude of reasons, but.
Yeah, I think for this instance, it's talking more along the lines of like, have you ever had to, again, back to the Coach Carter quote of like dimming your own light to make others feel okay or comfortable? And I guess it's still in line with the whole questions that we've talked about, in the sense of like, you could be around people that just, let's just say, work a 9 to 5, right? And they don't have a hobby. They just kind of do it. They live a very different type of life than you do. And then you come in and you maybe dropped a song, or, you had something do very well for you. You don't decide to share it, but they ask, the question is around the group of like, oh, hey, what would you do? Or, what's something that you're working on, or what's some like a hidden talent that nobody knows about? I've been in those situations where I haven't shared that because I'm like, oh, maybe this is too much for it to shine light and it make people feel a type of way on. And I do agree. I think the hardest thing about that question is the line between being humble about it and having some like humility and not oversharing, to having pride in what you do, and being, again, conviction isn't just knowing in your heart, it's making it known that's what it is that you're doing through, a healthy and a respectful manner. So I think the point with that is, for me, I think I had to learn that early on, because there were times, bro, where it's like, oh yeah, like, what do you do? And I would just describe, like, obviously, like, I work full time, whatever. And then I would have to think twice about it. I'm like, no. Like, I'm building something, right? Because at some point it's going to be, no, this is what I do.
For sure.
And if you're not, again, I agree with the Bible verse that you just said, but on the flip side too, you have to openly vocalize as well what it is that you're building, or else the thought isn't being verbalized. It's not, there's nothing going out into the world, right? Like there's nothing being spoken on it. And I think that's the biggest thing that people need to understand is it's not bragging about what you do. It's being convicted in, hey, I do this, and this is how it's going to impact this in the right setting.
Absolutely.
And I think people start to see that as you walk into a room full of people and you're just like, oh no, I make music. Here's my song. And you start dropping the song and tapping the song on people's phones. I've had that happen to me before. That's kind of wild to me, first off. But I think that's the extreme situation to where the difference is, it's like, oh, hey, what do you do? It's like, oh no, I'm Julian. I make music, I work. And yeah, that's what I do. Or I'm Fabian. I, run a brand, a lifestyle brand, and, I work full time. But I think it's the way you move about it, bro.
Absolutely. I think now that's a real internal thing. And the reason why I say that is because somebody internally has to resonate with, are they not sharing because they feel like they're going to be embarrassed by this?
For sure.
Or they just don't know how to like speak about it? Or are they not sharing because they're holding it to the chest and they just want to move in silence? And only one can know why they're refraining on sharing. And I think, it's still very situational. Like there are times to where I think it's a time to be reserved, and then there is a time to express. And there's ways to go about it. But again, that's still an internal thing. Like there have been plenty of times that like I've been around people and somebody's been like, oh, Julian makes music, and it's like, okay, cool. Somebody else spoke about it, so now, or somebody might have heard a song or saw a video, and then they speak about it or they bring it up to me. So now it's like, okay, cool. Now let's speak about it. But then there are other times to where it's like, not that I'm being reserved about it, but it's just not the time and the place to speak about it. And then there are also times, and I'm gonna be honest, when I don't speak about certain things because I know my aspirations are so big, I don't want to speak about it because it's like, when you have a dream and a vision, it's your dream and your vision. So sometimes when you speak about it, God gave you that vision. They didn't give that person that you're speaking about it that vision. So again, I'm just speaking very, very specific right now. Sometimes I don't speak on things because it's like you alluded to. It's so big, I don't even know how I'm going to get there. So it's going to sound crazy to whoever I'm saying it to. So it's not that I don't want to share it. It's like, let's say the first person that said, I'm about to go to space, said that to somebody, and we've never been to space as humanity, but they know they have the mathematics, they have the equipment, they know they can get to space. They say it to somebody, and the person's looking at them like, yo, what are you talking about? And it's not the fact that they don't want to express it. They know the fact that what they're thinking of and what they have within is so grand that it's just like, you're just going to have to see this when this becomes. Like, it's not about me being afraid to share it.
Right.
It's just, this is so massive, and this vision that I have is so big for myself. I don't even know how I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. So it's like, why even express it to you? Because I don't even care what your reaction is going to be.
For sure.
It's just, sometimes it's just like, no, what's the point? So there's so many different bullet points on why somebody might or might not express. But I think holistically is, and eternally, where are you coming from when you choose to or to not express? And that it differentiates person to person based on a multitude of just different reasons.
Yeah, I think the intention behind it's everything. Because, man, I used to not share anything with anybody, bro. And again, there's a fine line between, like you said, you have dreams and aspirations, and God has given us all dreams for ourselves, right? And sometimes there's a time and place to share it in for it to not get shared. For the things that I specifically do, it makes an impact not on my life.
Right.
So it has to be shared with other people.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one thing that I've gotten a lot better at too, bro, is I think it's human nature to want to be liked to a certain extent, right? And to not have people make certain comments or not say certain things or try to have to read into whether that was a comment that was genuine or that wasn't. But I think for a while there, especially when I first started this, it was more of a, dang, like, I don't really want to hear your feedback. Whereas now it's like, I want to hear the feedback. Like, I want to hear the people that are in my DM requests saying like, hey, why don't you have this person on? Or why don't you talk about this? Or, you know, how about you try it this way? And if I agree with it, cool. Like, yeah, we can have that conversation. But I think being so open to that now has allowed me to get very finite with what it is that I actually want to do. And sometimes those outside forces need to come in and have some type of, I would say, influence to be like, okay, is this testing the foundation or is this adding to the foundation? Because if it's testing the foundation, then absolutely no, this is my time to say, nope, this is the way we're moving. But if it's adding to the foundation, then it's like, wow, I didn't know about that. You've done that to me plenty of times where you know, I've spoken on something, you're like, hey, what if we tried it this way? And it's like, okay, well, all it comes down to is a foundation of what the intention is, right? So yeah, I do agree. I think it's nuance and the intention that's behind it, because it doesn't matter what someone else says. If you're coming from a genuine spot, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say or what you don't say because it's out of love. So good questions. So let's see. Question 4. If your biggest opportunity came tomorrow, would your current circle help you capitalize on it or hold you back?
Capitalize, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I think that's why I know that's why with maturity, it's not about having, for one, a whole bunch of people around you. It's about having quality people that bring value into your life so that when opportunities or great things just happen in your life or vice versa, you all can just be there for each other and help each other in whatever capacity.
Yeah.
That's it right there. It's no other reasons. It's like, if you have something great going on, your support system or your people, 1 or 2 or however many, they're there for you. They're there to assist and there to be there for you. And the same thing vice versa for your loved ones. If they have something going on, you're there to assist and be there for them. If people aren't in your life for that, genuinely, then, I mean, really, what are they in your life for?
Yeah.
What's the point? So it's just that simple to me.
For sure. Yeah, and I think it's a blessing to say that I have a circle that would support almost any, you know, encounter or any situation that I was in. And I guess the best example would be the thing that we did in December last year. You know, having that type of social, it was so cool to have those people come out and support what it is that I wanted to do in that moment. And it speaks volumes. And I think you need to have people like that in your circles that can help grow it. Now, at what point does it come? Sure. You can never tell. You know, it's trial and error, bro. And I think that's the biggest thing is just because they're in your life for, you know, let's say X amount of days or months or years, that doesn't mean that's going to be the same thing next year, right? And I think the blessing in it all is the people that have been around, especially since that time, have accepted and supported everything that I've wanted to do. And regardless if they vocalize that or have been consistent about, you know, saying, you know, good job or keep doing that, I can feel it in the times that we're around each other and the times that we have conversations of like, oh, hey, that was a great topic that you had, or hey, that episode that you did was really cool. Like I liked what Julian said. Just in general, man, it feels good and it adds to the quality of what gets put out, you know? And I think that's the rejuvenation that people need when it comes to these crazy ideas. Is a little bit of it is all you need to continue to keep going and to create something better than what it was before.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I think that's pivotal. And I genuinely think that with maturity, one has to realize like I would even say you wouldn't even want to have that many people in your life the more mature you get.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, like, what's the point if you have just a plethora of people around you and they're just space fillers?
Yeah, and it's a full-time job, bro. Like being a friend is a full-time job.
It is. And that's why I've said multiple times before when we've expressed certain things, I take that serious. I take it serious because it is a performance of duty, but in a genuine way. And the desire is to want to be there.
Yeah.
You should want to be there for your friend and your brothers. You should want to, I wouldn't even say make sacrifices because it's not a sacrifice to be there. It's like, no, if your boy calls or whatever time, it's not like oh, let me get up. No, it should be like, bro, where you at? I'm on my way. You should have a healthy pride of being there or being servant to your brother or just knowing that like your loyalty or that, you know, being of service, it shouldn't be a sacrifice. It should be like, nah, I take pride in being there. but only few deserve that. And again, I genuinely don't believe that can be disseminated or dispersed between a plethora of people. It just can't, especially when you're pouring and you're there and you're giving of yourself. A few, I wouldn't even say a handful, 2 to 3 max, if a real bond. But anything more than that, it's just access at that point.
Yeah. Which that's good at a given time and place.
For sure.
Right?
There's times
the
for
access,
stuff.
calls
Absolutely.
for a certain vibe and a certain time of a season, or in this case, time of the year that you can
Absolutely.
have that type of access. But I think on a consistent basis, or in this case, at 2 a.m. friends, it can't be a lot because you wouldn't be a good friend. It wouldn't identify as that.
And that's a good coined phrase right there, the 2 a.m. friend. And I would implore anybody to think, like, how many people could you call at 2 a.m.? And again, granted, let's just, set the stage for it. Their phone isn't on vibrate, because if your phone's on vibrate, anybody that would answer still wouldn't be able to because they're knocked out. But let's just say your phone isn't on vibrate. How many people do you believe you could call and they would answer? That's a real realization right there. So all the people that you're around, that you might go out with and have fun with, go to clubs with, go out the country with, go out of town with, how many of those people, if you're in a real jam, in a real situation, you call at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you call at 12 p.m., you call any time of the day or the night, are going to wake up or be there and be like, I'm on my way. Say less. No excuse. No, can you call such and such? He might be up or she might be up. I'm tired. Or I have somebody over. No.
Right.
Who can you call me? And without a doubt, bro, where you at? Say less. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
No questions asked. You know what I mean? Like, hey, bro, I'm in a situation. And I would even say, not to test it, but it should be a real brother or a real friend. They don't even need to tell you what the situation is. It should be like, hey, bro, I'm in a situation. This is where I am. Can you come scoop me? Say less. I'm on the way. What's going on? Where you at? How'd that happen? Nah, none of that. Where you at? I'm on my way right now. I'm getting ready. I'm on my way. I'll give you my ETA when I'm in the car. That's how it's supposed to be, right then and there. If you have a whole bunch of people, come on now. It's like the sister principal story that you
Yeah.
If you have a huge consumption of people, the majority of people aren't going to be there. Most aren't even going to answer.
And you don't even build a in-depth relationship when you have that many people in the group, because it can only go so far. There's not enough time in the day to be able to get to know somebody like that on a real level.
It's not enough
and to have those conversations.
Sure.
All right, bro. Last question. If becoming the person God called you to be meant losing people, would you still choose growth? I mean, I feel that's an easy answer. Yeah. Well, and I think, back to how we started this show, man, like there was a point in time where I have sacrificed, the growth that God was pushing me in for a direction in order to have people on my side. And I think the power of isolation is crazy, bro. Like the power and what comes with being able to isolate yourself and to be alone. It's growing for sure, but it's a growing pain. Like you got to get used to it. And it doesn't take a day. It doesn't take 2. It takes sometimes months to get used to being by yourself for a day out of the week or for 2 days out of the week, or in this case, we'll just say a whole winter or a whole summer or a whole year in a different city. And I think when it comes to those vulnerable moments, you start playing with things in your life to where the foundation gets a little weaker, because you're like, well, I have 2 people over there that they do this. They go to strip clubs. They do this. They do that. I don't believe in all that stuff, but I want companionship. I want friends. I want a community. So maybe one time it won't hurt. Maybe just once it'll happen. And then you look 6 months down the road and that's all it is. That's all it ever is, right? And I think I can honestly say, and I will say, I've never been to a strip club, so I only use that example to express how guys can get easily swayed into just going out of their comfort zones and doing something that doesn't align with what it is they want to align with. But my whole point being, bro, is where I'm at now, it took work. It took work for me to be able to sit here in this apartment and be like, all right, cool. Monday through Friday, I'm locking in. I'm making sure that I'm getting my things done. And there are times of the night where it's dead silent. And it's very challenging to get used to. And it's taken years to get to the place where I'm like, I know for a fact that if there was any growth opportunity right now that was like, hey, level up or stay around these certain types of vibes or energy or people, bro, I'm going up. Because friends won't make you choose. They won't make you choose over God or growth or not growing or staying. They will grow with you. And they may not be doing the exact same thing, but what they are doing is they're supporting, they're loving, and they're being genuine with whatever it is that you decide to do. You could be as a man, hey, bro, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm probably not going to be doing X, Y, and Z anymore. Like, hope you can respect it. All right, cool, bro. Let's go do something else. Hey, bro, I don't drink. Like, you know, that's just the decision that I'm making. All right, cool. Like, let's not drink. Let's go hit up a lake. Let's go, you know, shoot some hoops. Let's do whatever. Let's find something to do. That's a friendship.
Absolutely.
And let's be honest, most people aren't willing to compromise that. Bro, well, I don't know. Why can't you just one time, one drink won't hurt, Julian. Just one drink. Like, that's all it is. It's just a shot, bro. There's barely any alcohol. Like, come on now. Yeah. That's my whole point in this, bro, is I have worked and I've failed so many times to where I can sit here and with conviction again say that I will always do my best to choose to go to the route that is a growth path and know 100% that you guys would follow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you gave a great example, and I'm gonna go on a different trajectory in regards to this conversation.
For sure.
I think there's a space of men, and we're gonna speak real man talk, and I'm gonna give an example of something that we all just partook in last weekend. There's a space of having to put yourself in challenging situations to overcome, to get to a place to where nuances of challenges, nuances of isolation doesn't bother you anymore. And the reason why I say this, and I'm just using this example because it was a real reason. So we just went to Sedona last weekend, this past weekend, and we went to Grasshopper Point. There's a huge cliff where people can jump off of. Now, personally, I don't really like heights. I don't like heights. So I ended up jumping off of the cliff. Now, I also like adventure.
Right.
I do like adventure. But the main reason is, and I've been through other places of my life, and I'm not making this about me, I'm just using this because it's,
sure.
I think a lot of times when we give real examples, it adds to the validity of what we're speaking about.
Yeah.
And so where they're at Grasshopper Point, and there's this huge cliff that people can jump off into this body of water. And like I said, I don't really particularly like heights, but the reason why I did it was, for one, because I do like adventure. Secondarily, and this rivals number one, this is like 1A, 1B, is because I know when I do this, I'm fighting something. Well, basically, I'm overcoming something that I genuinely don't want to do. I don't really like heights, truthfully. But when I do this, I'm putting myself in a challenging situation to overcome it, so that when I do it, am I happy? Maybe, maybe not. It's really indifferent about it, but I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. So to kind of give a little backstory on it, we have to climb up this space to get to the point to jump off. Now I have to kind of like hug on the rocks because you're up there and there's nothing to stop. We're in the wilderness. There's no protection. So that if you've been on a roller coaster, that gut feeling, it's like is multiplied. So I'm looking down and I'm like, and there's video footage, but I get to the place and I'm looking over the ledge and I'm like, oh, it's a real realization. It's like, it's not within our natural proclivity to jump off of things. It's not there. But again, we know it's a body of water, and depending on how high you up, you'll be good. If you're not super, super high, you know what I mean, you'll be good. So I'm saying all that to say I end up jumping cool. The reason why I really did this is because, yes, like I said, I enjoy adventure, but it's because I want to put myself in challenging situations so that I overcome it.
Right.
And that's the plight of manhood for real. We have to put ourselves in challenging situations. So how do I mix that into what you just asked? When we're in places of isolation, when we're in places that we're by ourselves, if we're willingly challenging ourselves through adventure, through life, through you going to San Diego by yourself and exploring, when you come back and you're in a spot of, man, I'm isolated, you don't feel it as much.
Yeah.
Because you went out on your personal ledge and went into an entirely different city and
That's
explored
true.
by yourself. So that feeling that you might have had if you didn't go out and challenge yourself and explore, you come back to, we'll just say it's not your hometown, of course, but you come back to where you're living. And if you even maybe have the slightest feeling of isolation,
it's like, I don't really feel it like how I might have if I didn't challenge myself. Because I was just in San Diego, venturing off, going to get food. I knew people. I linked. I'm getting it. I'm building a Teflon to myself to whereas if I didn't, or I just stayed in the comfort of that feeling, it would hit harder.
Yeah,
and that's why I say that, and that's why I was so proud of you when you did it, because yes, it's a part of traveling. Yes, it's a part of exploring, but it's the internal factor that happens when you go out on that ledge as a man and you go seek and you leave your hometown, or you go explore the world, or you go to different cities, or you go to different neighborhoods, or you try different foods and you do it by yourself. That comes back to when you're at the crib, when you're feeling maybe anxious energy, when you might feel the slightest of isolation, and you're like, man, this doesn't feel like anything to me. I was just in a different city and I was exploring and getting different foods, and I went to the hotel and I worked out and I read and I prayed and I don't feel it. Why is that happening? You're now developing. You're becoming that lion. You're getting that grit. It doesn't feel the same. That's what it's about. So if we challenge ourselves, if you constantly keep doing things like that, again, how do we wrap this all into what we were talking about earlier? How do you then come into contact with people who are staying maybe in the house that they grew up in, or still staying in the same hometown that they grew up in, who've never left where they grew up, who don't go out and explore, who don't go out and challenge themselves, and they fight that force to jump, or they fight that force to be like, let me hop on this road and let me go to this different city. You're going on your personal legend, and you're figuring it out, and you're seeking. So it all comes together.
Yeah.
So yes, explain. I know I'm long with it, but
go ahead, bro.
It all makes sense. When you go and do these things, yes, you're traveling, which is a beautiful thing. So yes, you're getting the travel aspect, but aligning with the travel, and just as important, that internal part to where you're like, bro, I know when you were on your way back, you were like, I'm proud of myself. I know you were. You know what I mean? But only you know that. Only you know what you're overcoming. Only you know what you've been through to be like, man, I did it. When I jumped, that's why I said I don't care about being happy. It was about, I did it. That's why when I watched the video, it's like I touched the bottom. It was cool. I'm saying that. Yeah. But internally, it's like, nah, I did it.
But I think that also the caveat of that too, bro, is you had 3 people who genuinely care and love for you and were supporting you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure. And that matters.
That journey was alone, was independent, but
for sure.
The after fact of it is community and love and just showing how hard that must have been to do that. And I think you got to have both.
For sure.
The will to want both can only come by you taking the step and the jump, literally, to receive what it is that is coming with of that, the result of it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, bro.
And I will say this, because the love and the support thereafter is essential and it's needed. But like, let's say hypothetically, just for the sake of the conversation, if you all weren't there, I would have still did it.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's what it's about. Now, we can't say one or the other is more important, because it's all important. So the love there and being like, nah, go do it, or whatever, that's still just as important. But also the fact of, irregardless if anybody is there for you, and I'm talking real internal, I hope this is inspirational for anybody hearing, you got to do it because you want to do it. It doesn't matter if nobody's there. And we speak, I'm saying, I'm speaking to men directly on this, because this is man talk right now. It doesn't matter, and I'm saying this with passion, because I have a real love and understand. I'll say love. The more mature we get, our understanding becomes.
Yeah.
So the understanding is just starting to heighten in a real way. But if nobody is there to champion you, if nobody is there to clap for you, if nobody is there to be like, I love you, if nobody is there to be like, I'm proud of you, you have to be like, I'm proud of myself. I'm going for it for myself, because I know the man that I want to be. I know who I want to be if, God willing, I have a wife, or I have a child, or I have a household. How do you become that man? By going and challenging yourself. You have to. You have to do it for yourself first. Now, the love that you have and the support, that's a blessing. That's a blessing if you have people being like, bro, go do it. Go do it. I'm happy for you. Or go see that, or go see that. Of course. But let's say nobody is clapping for you. Let's say if you're in a dark, like not in a dark spot, but just in the darkness in a sense. And nobody is there to be like, man, figure it out, or I'm there for you. Internally, you got to be like, nah, I got to go for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to go for it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because when you come back, you're going to be like, I'm proud of myself. And that's why I say happiness. I mean, were you happy when you were on your way back? It didn't matter. You were proud of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It like, yes, do we aim to be happy? Of course. But happiness is fleeting. It's fleeting for men. That's why I say for me, I want to be proud of myself. I want to be proud that I jumped. If I didn't jump, I would have been thinking about it the whole time we were there. I had to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to, because in a good way, that anxious, this is a challenge I need to conquer. I need to conquer it. It would have been there the whole time. And I wouldn't say it would have been an irritant, but it would have been like, nah, I need to do it.
Yeah.
I need to do it. So I know that was long with it, but
no, that's cool, bro.
I'm saying it to be passionate, to be like, yo, we have to challenge ourselves. If you want to be the best version, and for your brothers, in a good way, you challenge your brothers, not challenge them like, like Rams going at it. No, you challenge them to be like, bro, go do that for yourself. Go have that experience. Go seek that out. In a loving way, you challenge your brothers. So I just said all that to say, like, man, that's how really, when isolation kicks in, it doesn't really feel like anything.
Yeah. And I think, the only thing that I'll say to that is, in the real world, you're not living isolated. When you step outside, and that's all I meant by that is, regardless if you went by yourself without us being there, there's still other people there that once you got down, it was still, hey, that's amazing. Because there was a couple people that were just random people that were like, hey, how was it, bro? Or like that, it was different than what was expected. Absolutely. And I think that's the love that I'm talking about, that yes, as much as us as men, we do need it. It's got to come from us first with anything, with sports talk, with, living a day-to-day life. Like, it's got to start with you, but understanding that when somebody even just comes across you and is just like, hey, bro, I noticed you in the gym. Like, you seem determined to keep doing your thing. That is what I'm saying, bro. That's the big thing, that you just can't be like, no, this is still for me. No, it's take that. No, for sure. Receive it. Absolutely. Because this is a world. Like, we're not living in our own world. When we come home, absolutely. We're going to have our time where we're alone. We're doing our things. We're maneuvering the way we need to maneuver, but we're outside. No doubt. More often than we are inside. We're asleep, for 6 to 8 hours. And if you go to work or if you have a job, you're amongst people. But more often than not, we're not isolated in that sense. So, yeah, man, I think that's the biggest thing about it, was just watching you do that, and, having so much love and support for you to do that and to accomplish that. There was other people that noticed how hard that is. And I think so often as men, we think, oh, man, I'm the only one going through it. Or like, no, I got to do this. I just got to lock in. I just got to be tunnel vision. Yeah, but still, when you get tunnel visioned, you lose sight of what other people can be doing for you. And sometimes it's just a gesture, bro. Or sometimes it's just somebody watching you over your shoulder, like, the head nod, and you feel it. But you're tunnel vision to where you're like, nah, I'm not worried. You can't be that way. You know what I'm saying? So as men, and I think you're good at doing that, because I've seen you do, hey, bro, you look good. I like the shoes. And that does something for us dudes. Absolutely. So as much as, yes, we got to make sure that we're staying isolated in those moments, but there's always people around. Like, this world is full of good people, good men that are all looking for those moments of jumping off a cliff or going out and traveling and just being able to say, hey, like, I'm proud of you, or like, hey, good job, giving you the head nod. And
there were people that jumped, and just for, again, validity, and that's not even about me. This is not as an example, but there were people jumping higher.
For sure. Oh, yeah,
So what does that say in regards to their levels? And there's levels to challenge, and there's levels to where somebody is in their life to be like, again, it's not a comparative thing, but it's like, no, my level of challenge is way different. Think about, I think we were having a conversation, and you were telling me stuff about people that hike, what is it? What?
Oh, yeah,
what's that mountain? Mount Everest. Mount Everest. Now think about people that go in and do those challenges. People pass away from stuff like that. But that's a challenge to some people, to where they're like, I need to fulfill that. That's a totally different level. You know what I mean? Even certain places that people were jumping from, when we were at Grasshopper Point, we were looking like, yo, that's crazy. But they were doing it. But in their mind, we don't know what they were thinking as far as what they were challenging and what they're trying to overcome, or their personal journey. It's not a comparative thing. It's just more an admiration of, it's levels to this, for real.
Because you're still jumping off.
You're still jumping off.
Jumping off somewhere. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And again, it could be a whole different breakdown on this conversation, but just in a sense of, we need to challenge ourselves. So the men that you're seeing go out and challenge themselves and put themselves in situations, we have to be honest with ourselves as men, because we have to be accountable. If you're not doing that,
and you're seeing somebody else and you see it, they're seeing them putting themselves in situations, you can't even compare yourself to them. You can't when they're getting responses from people, when they're getting when they're having certain situations. If you know you're not even putting yourself in situations to overcome and get over those hurdles, you better not be looking at them like, why are they getting that and I'm not? You're not challenging yourself. You're not putting yourself out there internally to be able to receive the benefits from challenging and overcoming. We're speaking to men. These things matter. So I would just bring it all in, challenge yourself. And your challenge is going to be different than somebody else's challenge.
Yeah.
Like, I jumped because I wanted to jump. Nobody else was inclined to jump. And it's not for anybody else to feel like, no, it's an internal thing.
For sure.
So whatever somebody else's challenge is, that's their challenge. But we need to put ourselves in challenging situations so that we become better. That's how we grow.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best, bro. I think the only thing I have left to say that, before we close right now is I think the challenges that men go through, they look in all different shapes, forms, situations. And, growing up, I didn't ever have to work. I think that was my biggest blessing, is that my parents were always able to take care of us and allow us to play sports and do whatever we needed to do. So I didn't make my first check till I was almost 20 years old. $300. That's all it was. My first ever check, a part-time job. I decided real quick that I was like, I don't want to stay here anymore. I was done with baseball. It's time to move to Phoenix. I have never touched any real money, bro. Christmas, birthdays, I would get cash. Cool. Graduation was the most cash I ever saw come my way. But money I just never saw or ever thought about in my life to be like, okay, I'm going to work towards something to go somewhere else. I saved, I don't even know how much money, but I saved money in a Crown Royal bag. Gave up going out for a year. I think I was like 22, 23 years old when I decided to make my move to Phoenix. I saved for 7 months, working 3 jobs. I'd go full-time school, go to my first job, go to my second job, and then end up at my third job in El Paso that was 45 minutes away and get home at 3 a.m. There's no ifs, ands, or buts behind anything, bro. It doesn't matter if you come from no parents. It doesn't matter if you come from one parent. It doesn't matter if you come from 2 parents that have been together since they were 7 years old. What matters is the will to do it. What matters is the uncomfortableness it took for me to be like, do I really want to work 3 jobs when I live at home? My parents are charging me rent. I'm 22 years old. I'm living life. There's no reason for anyone to be like, hey, my parents were actually telling me, like, are you sure this is the right time for you to move? Maybe stay a year, maybe do this. It's like, no, now is the time. Now is the time to jump off that cliff. Now is the time to start the music. Now is the time to look at going on a trip that I've never taken before. And I think more often than not, we talk ourselves out of it. So as men, I want everyone to hear this clearly, man. Do it. Just do it like Julian and I say. Do what you have to do to get out of that situation. Put the money in a Crown Royal bag and make it happen. It doesn't got to be pretty. It's not going to be something that you imagine to be, cliche, sunshines and rainbows, but it's something that at the end of the day, it's more proud than it is being happy. Because in those moments, bro, as much as I wanted to quit and working in a cold warehouse till 2 or 3 a.m. driving home, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy driving home. I wasn't happy doing some of that work. I wasn't happy scrubbing toilets. But when I look back now, it was all joyful, bro. Like, it was a joyful transition to say, I'm doing this because in my head, when I'm scrubbing, I'm like, it's not going to be like this tomorrow. It's not going to be like this in a year. It's not going to be like this in 10.
Facts.
And that's my whole point with this, bro. And I think that's what we're building here is, as men, we got to keep growing with the situations that were given to us when we were kids. It's not fair. It's real, and you can do something about it.
Well said, bro. There's nothing else that could be said, man. Life's not fair. Situations aren't fair, but we have control over our minds and what we put forth. And again, what you're in, the situation that you're in right now, it's not going to be like that 5 years from now. So keep that in mind. Like, you're thinking like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get out of this situation. You will. It's impossible to still be in the same. Not I don't want to say impossible, but highly improbable.
Yeah.
Highly improbable.
In the exact same situation,
working,
for sure.
If you're working, that's really the caveat.
Yeah.
If you're working, if you're determined, if you have real willpower, that's when I'll say it's impossible, but I'll say highly improbable that you'll be in the same situation a few months, a year, and multiple years thereafter. If you're really working and you're diligent on your aspirations, it's impossible. You have to keep going because everything is possible. All things are possible. So keep challenging yourself and keep working. And whatever your aspirations and goals are, they will come to fruition. If it's in God's will, and if you keep working, nothing is impossible. That's just that.
My guy.
You already know, man. It's
Good
love.
seeing you. We'll catch y'all.
Always.